We now return to Ominous Prime.
Hey, it's Jason, also known as Ominous Prime here, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my backlog. A backlog is essentially just at least this is how I define it, is a list of games that I purchased or have that I had started or wanted to start and never got back to because other games released and caught my interest at the time of those games when they released. And so they've been on the back burner and the list. If you've been in the hobby for video gaming for any length of time, you'll end up with a backlog. And for this year, there's a number of games that are in the pipeline that I'm looking forward to. And essentially, while I'm waiting for these games to come out, I'm going to be digging into my backlog to see what I can play through. And so, just to kind of give you an idea of the games that I'm looking forward to for this year, just to start with, like, for instance, on April 28th is the next game I'm looking forward to is Rogue Legacy 2. That'll be available on the Xbox along with PC for those that are looking for it. Following just the day after the release of Rogue Legacy 2, we have Nintendo Switch Sports. And I know a lot of you are probably like, why are you looking forward to that? You played that before, didn't you? You had a Wii, right? And I did play Wii Sports on there and Wii Sports Resorts. And it's a game that's fun to play with my family. We can get competitive there, but still be friendly. And it doesn't have like a super steep learning curve. It's something that we can all grasp real quick and pick up and play. And you don't have to play that for long periods of time to have a lot of fun with it. But just a few days later, we have Trek to Yomi that'll be out. Now, fortunately for me, and for a lot of us that are, conscious about our budget, if you have a subscription to Game Pass, you'll be able to play it there. And it wouldn't be like 3 purchases, at least for me, like in a row. So I'll be able to enjoy that there. And that's going to be out on May 5th. I actually already have it installed here. I'm just waiting for that date, and then I'll be able to go ahead and get into that. And then we have also on Game Pass coming out on May 10th. It's Iodine Chronicles Rising. This is going to be a prequel for the Iodine Chronicles that's slated to come out next year. So I'm looking forward to getting into that because I'm a big fan of Suikoden. I played through the first 2, really enjoyed it. I like the variety of characters that were involved in it. I did get into 3 and 4, I believe, were both on the PlayStation 2. I didn't beat those. I got sidetracked with other games at the time. And the way things are set up right now with Sony, it's just not available for like a digital purchase so that I can play it, because trying to find it at a reasonable price online, at least for me, I was just I'm priced out of that, especially with the other hobbies that I have on here that you see me doing reviews for. So I gotta try to keep things reasonable from hobby to hobby that I'm into. Moving on from that, Capcom Fighting Collection, and that comes out on June 24th. This is another game that you'll be able to find on multiple platforms. And then July 22nd, that the next game that's for me like a big deal is Live Alive, or it could be Live Alive. I'm not sure on which way that they go on it, but that's coming out on the Switch, and it really reminds me of playing a game like Chrono Trigger. And Chrono Trigger has always been a game where, for me, I wanted to have a sequel that was like that, not a Chrono Cross. I know that a lot of people have just recently picked up the re-release of Chrono Cross, Some like it, some don't. Radiant Dreams, I believe, is what the other part of it was. There was a lot going on around that time on the PlayStation 1, and I was always excited about it, but when I picked it up, I was kind of disappointed because it, in my eyes, it never reached what Chrono Trigger was. This game here looks like it could have been a sequel to it, and we never got it here in the West, so I'm looking forward to that one. We have Xenoblade Chronicles 3 that comes out on July 29th, so it's like the following week. Another big RPG that's coming, and I know my son is very excited for it. He just got into Xenoblade, and man, he's going to probably end up playing that before I do. November is going to probably be like the single most anticipated game for me for the year currently. That's going to be Starfield, and it's on Game Pass, so it's one thing that makes it so I don't have to purchase it. If the game wasn't on Game Pass, that would be a game I pick up. And I know a lot of it is based on reputation right now because we're still waiting for gameplay, having a better understanding of what the game is going to be like. And that's what we have the summer for. I'm sure that Microsoft's going to put something out so we can go ahead and take a look and see what Bethesda's doing here. And all that's going to do is fuel more anticipation for that game. And that game has a solid release date for November 11th. We'll see what happens with that. But when it does come out, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be playing anything else for a while, especially if there's replay value. And then we do have Stalker 2 currently set for December 8th. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets pushed till next year. And that would be fine. Like I said, I'm going to be busy with a different game. But Stalker 2, I think it's going to be a showcase of what the hardware can do. As far as like the Xbox Series X console that I got back here, I'd like to see what Stalker 2 does there and see if it can put it through its paces. All those different features that we've been kind of promised with this current gen that we're in now, which, a lot of us still call next gen. We want to see those games arrive. Not a lot of the games are doing it. Yeah, I would like to see Stalker 2 be that showcase. Along with Starfield, I want to see Starfield do that as well. I'll say this for Bethesda, they pick like an art style that they go with, and it seems almost like an exaggerated idea of the world. It's realistic, but skewed a little bit. That's what I see with it. It's skewed. And I suspect that Starfield falls into that. When I look at Stalker 2 looks almost photoreal, almost in a way that it could be disturbing depending on, what you have to do in the game. And we have Hogwarts Legacy that's supposed to be coming out this year towards the end. I know that there's a lot of people that have opinions about the wizarding world, as it were. But in this household, we enjoy it for what it is. And with that being said, when that game comes out, we're going to probably have to pick up multiple copies of it because everybody's going to be wanting to play their own game. That'll be something that we'll be talking about a lot when it comes out. If it comes out too close to Starfield, that might end up being on my backlog. And then Splatoon 3. I expect it to come out because of, you see, with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I believe it was originally anticipated it'll be out like in September. I think it got moved up because Splatoon 3 will be coming out either August or September. It's going to be between those 2 months, I believe. This is me guessing. And when that comes out, we're going to have to get probably 4 copies of that game because there's going to be us going at it again online, just inking it up. And that's always a fun time. And if you haven't played Splatoon, you are missing out. If you got a Switch, I mean, at this point, yeah, I can understand not picking up Splatoon 2 because Splatoon 3 is right around the corner. But if you can get Splatoon 2 on the cheap, I would say go ahead and pick it up. while you're waiting so you can go ahead and get practice, because when it comes time, oh, it's going to be a lot of fun. There's just 3 more games here that I wanted to talk about that are slated to come out this year, I believe. And that's Star Ocean, The Divine Force. I've always loved Star Ocean. We have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge. I'm really looking forward to that one. It really brings me back to my childhood. I would be happy to go ahead and get that. And it's another one of those games I don't anticipate being a very long game. And then the last one is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but it's the Cowabunga collection. There's a collector set that was just announced. It's available on Switch, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series consoles for the collectors. I don't know if they're doing it for PC, but I do know that when I get that set, I'll be making a video for it, of course. But it's going to be everything else that I'm playing is going to be put on the backlog, because I want to go through each one of those games and complete them. But that's enough about the anticipated games of 2022. Let's talk about the backlog, which was the purpose of me making this video. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, what I've done here is I've broken down the games in my backlog and tried to limit the ones that I need to go back to the maximum of 10 per system that have these games to play them on. I'm going to start with the Xbox. They're not in any particular order, but some of these might surprise you why they're on my backlog. The first one is Elden Ring, and I actually put in quite a few hours into it. But I didn't even get to the first boss and beat him. When I say first boss, if you played Elden Ring, you know who I'm talking about. I don't want to get into a lot of the details here. So to me, even though I had hours invested in it, I'm willing to restart the game, and I understand that there's been a number of patches that have been made to correct the difficulty and correct some of the things with the weapons and some of the bugs. So by the time I get back into it, hopefully those things have all been tweaked. Next up would be Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. I don't think this is necessarily a favorite for a lot of people, but for me, I grew up with the Cold War. It's a large part of my childhood, and because of that, there's a lot of nostalgia, and you'll find that with my channel. A lot of nostalgia drives a lot of the things I'm into. It was a scary time, actually, during the Cold War, so it's not that I'm looking back on it fondly. It's just that I experienced it as a child and going through the game, and I understand it's a game, but there's a lot of things a child's mind doesn't grasp while they're living through it. So going back to play this game, and I played, I think, about halfway through, kind of brings back those memories, and I'd like to understand more of the times that I grew up in and have an understanding of what was going on in the world. So I want to go back to that one for sure. We also have Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That one I didn't get very far. I think I played maybe like the first half hour or so. Enough to get introduced to the character, and that was about it. So the next one on here is Watch Dogs Legion, and I know a lot of people are probably like, why you want to play that one? It wasn't that great. The reason why I stopped playing Watch Dogs Legion is there was something wrong with the save files or how the save was being done. So every time that I tried to play that one, something would happen to where like it wouldn't save my progress and it would reset me back. I was like, you know what, I'll come back to this once they figure this out. I believe they've had enough time to where if I go back in, it should be fine now. All 3 of these games that I just listed here all came out about launch of the Xbox Series X, and I had picked them all up and I was excited to play it. But what happened was there was a game series that I had not tried yet. I was like, you know what? This is the one I want to play. I'm going to get in on this one and see what it's about. It's Yakuza, like a dragon. And it's pronounced Yakuza. It's not Yakuza. Yakuza. I picked it up and I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. You know, I played through the game, I completed it, I went and did all kinds of side quests, and I just got sucked into it, right? So Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, and Watch Dogs all got thrown onto my backlog because I was enjoying this one. And then other games started to come out, so it just kind of sat there. The fifth game that I have here for Xbox, I'm looking forward to going back and play, is Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown. And I know that we have Flight Simulator. I've got a couple videos of me enjoying peacefully flying around, enjoying the sight, trying to learn how to take off properly and land properly, how not to shear apart a jumbo jet, which I'm not too good at. I'm still learning. Sometimes you just want to play something that's kind of like an arcadey shooter, kind of like it kind of throws me back into the days of like Afterburner. Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown, I really want to get back into. I do like the idea of dogfighting and just that world of, playing in the Ace Combat series. The next game I have here is Fallout 4. Yeah, it's a game I've restarted numerous times because I would start it and then I would get caught up in just building a base, collecting items just so I can keep constructing my base and setting up all kinds of lights. And it's a bad replacement for like Minecraft, but I was sitting there constantly just building things that didn't move the story forward at all. But I finished Fallout 3, New Vegas, and replayed those repeatedly, like from beginning to end. I get to this one, no. For some reason, I can't get through it. So I need to go back and finish that one. Hopefully get through it before the next Fallout game comes out. I'm not playing Fallout 76. We have Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate. This one's a little bit tricky because I have young children. So it's hard to find time to sit down and just grind through it and learn the nuances of the game mechanics without, having questions about body parts falling off. So that's a game I would definitely want to go back and play. It's probably not going to happen this summer because, summer vacation, everybody's home. Speaking of summertime games, we got MLB The Show 22. I did pick up MLB The Show 21. And I wasn't sure if there was going to be a 22 that comes out to Xbox, but it's on Game Pass. I want to play it, but man, it came out at a time when there's too many other games that are good that are out too. But I do want to at least, play through a season of it. It's been a long time since I've been able to enjoy a baseball game, so I'm looking forward to doing that. There's just a couple more on Xbox. We have Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I do want to get through that one. From what I understand, I believe there's a Fallen Order 2 that's in the works. I'll have to double check, I'm not sure. But I started playing it, only played like a couple hours into it. Star Wars has been really wonky for the last half decade. I would like to have some good Star Wars, and from what I understand it is. I don't know, I haven't been in the right mindset to sit down and enjoy it. The last game here for Xbox is Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. I know I started with the Elden Ring here, Souls type game. Sekiro is just another one of those types of games. It reminds me really a lot of Tenchu, and that's one of the game series that I miss is Tenchu. So I want to definitely dive back into Sekiro. But Sekiro suffers from the same thing that Mortal Kombat 11 does, and to an extent that Elden Ring does. Those are games that are kind of hard to play in front of young children. Anybody that's a parent will probably understand what I'm talking about. But we're going to go ahead and move on to the next console that I have here, which is the PS4. I've been looking for a PS5. I think I've mentioned it before that I'm not going to pay anything that's above retail. I'll pay retail. I'll pay sales prices. I'm not going to pay what scalpers want me to pay. That's not happening. If it means that I got to wait 3-4 years into the generation to pick it up, so be it. But until then, they're still doing crossplay. So there's a number of games that, even though they're on the PlayStation 5, they're still available to play on the PlayStation 4. With that being said, I actually only have 2 games on the PS4 that I have on my backlog to go back and play. Persona 5. I know that there's Persona 5 Royal. I don't have that one. We got the collector's box on the initial release, and this is actually a game that I picked up for my wife. My wife's like huge into Persona, but she hasn't even gotten to it. From my understanding, if it's good enough, I'll probably play through it again. I'll just pick up Royal at that time, and hopefully I can find it really cheap. The other game is actually being played right now by my wife, which is Horizon Zero Dawn. I know, again, that game's been out for years, And I understand that a lot of people love that game and they're already enjoying the sequel that just came out. I don't know what happened with me. It just kept ending up on the back burner and in my backlog. So my wife says it's really good. She's enjoying it. It's got her playing it a lot. And once she gets through it, I'll probably take a turn going through it as well. I'm going to go on to the Switch. The Switch's library is going to be a little bit more varied compared to the games that I was talking about just a moment ago. Right off the bat, I have Beat Cop. It looked very interesting. It's an old style adventure game, kind of like a click and point adventure game is what it looks like to me. I haven't played it yet. I actually own it on the Switch, and I bought it also on PC. I definitely need to go and play that. I also have Castlevania Advance Collection. Uh, I beat most of the games that are in the Advance Collection back on the Game Boy Advance, but I don't remember how they went. So with these games, they're so much fun. I like going back and playing them. So even though there's a lot of back and forth, that's what you get with a Metroidvania style type of game. That doesn't bother me in the way that the games are designed. They're done so well that I enjoy them. Um, Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2. I really need to play through those. I played through quite a bit of Bayonetta and quite a bit of Bayonetta 2. I just never got to the end of the games. It'll be good to retread that and get through that. So that's number 5 would be Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age. It's another game that I played through maybe halfway. I believe that it was designed in chapters, so I think the furthest I got was like chapter, I think it's 6, and then something else would come out, and then I would go play that. The thing is with like Final Fantasy 12, it's such a departure from at the time what other games for Final Fantasy were like. I don't necessarily mean it in a positive way. I mean, story-wise, fine. Gameplay-wise was a little weird. At the time I didn't appreciate the way that you would spend your skill points so you can build your characters up, going through like it's like a skills grid. If you played Dragon Quest 11, the recent Dragon Quest game, it's got a similar setup to where you unlock this to unlock that, and like with your different characters in your party you would set up like AI commands, if this, then that. If you spend a lot of time in there, you could create some pretty cool, like automated ways of handling battles. Because of what they did in 12, 13's gameplay became what that one was. And I wasn't a big fan of what they were doing with that one either. I miss the older style with the active time battle where you would just pick from a menu, pick what your characters are doing, and it would just go, character to character to character. It's just a game that I really need to get done, but it's such a slog, all the grinding that you had to do. So I picked it up on the Switch, even though we got it on the PS2, because I just wanted to see if they made any improvements to where it wasn't such a chore to get through. But the story, I was enjoying it, so I'm hoping that there's a good payoff by finishing it. So I just need to get through it. Another game that I have is Layton's Mystery Journey, Catriel, and the Millionaire's Conspiracy. I love puzzle games, something that will make me think, brain teasers, those types of things. I like solving those kind of puzzles. There's a level of satisfaction of getting through them because they're pretty difficult. Trying to figure out some of these, and that was the latest one. I don't believe there's been another one that's been made that kind of continues on the Professor Layton games that were out on the original DS, and I enjoyed those games, so I'm looking forward to going in and putting in some time into that one. I had mentioned before, there's some games that I think of as like a palate cleanser to some other games that are a little bit more on the heavy side. When I mean heavy side, I mean that it's time consuming. So, like, let's say that for some reason there's a lull on what I have to play, and I'll go back and play Final Fantasy 12 and finally beat that thing. For certain, what's going to probably come next is going to be Layton's Mystery Journey, just so I can have something that's, you know, a little bit more enjoyable. Next, I have SNK's 40th Anniversary Collection. I have it on the Switch and I have it on the PC. I think I will enjoy it more on the Switch because it's something I can just sit on the couch and play while other people are doing whatever, you know, if they want to watch TV or play something else. But for the 40th Anniversary Collection, I can tell you right now, not all the games in there are going to be games that I want to play. One of the ones I do want to get through is Chrysalis. I have a lot of good memories of that game, and I'd like to go through it again. I also have Shovel Knight Treasure Trove. I have not played this game at all. I picked it up many years after it was already released and all the different iterations, and I was like, you know what? It's on sale. Now's the time to get it. Picked it up and then got distracted with other games. So I want to go back and see what's in the treasure trove. We have also The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening for the Switch. So I haven't played through the remaster. I never beat the original, so for me it was kind of like twofer, because I get the updated game, but I also get to play through, because from my understanding it's the same story, to finally finish that one. So I'm looking forward to getting into that one. And then the last game here on the Switch is Panzer Paladin. I got Panzer Paladin physically, still wrapped up in the cellophane over there, and I'm looking forward to playing through that one. From what I can tell, it reminds me of, I don't know if anybody remembers Dino Wars on the NES, where you have this little character, a little pilot, and you hop into your dinosaur. I used to have this Nintendo Power poster of the game with the head, and I think it had like a place for like the cockpit where the little human pilot would get in and out. So I'm really looking forward to playing through that one when I find some time to get back into my backlog and do that. Now, lastly, I do have some games on the PC, and this will be the last of what's in my backlog currently. For PC, I got Divinity Original Sin 2. It's a style of role-playing game that I really do enjoy. There's not a lot of games that do what this one does. It reminds me of like Baldur's Gate or Neverwinter Nights on the PC. It just reminds me of those old school RPG games that I enjoyed so much. Coincidentally, those games I mentioned I didn't beat. So, well, I guess I might as well mention them here. Neverwinter Nights is on my backlog. Neverwinter Nights 2 is on my backlog. I don't have Icewind Dale and Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 listed on here. The games, to me, they felt really similar to Divinity Original Sin 2. Divinity Original Sin 2, for me, feels like a vast improvement on those games. And I know there's going to be some people are going to be like, that's sacrilege. You can't be saying that. But it builds upon a lot of what was done right with those games. I don't have my pen and paper crew that I used to game with way back in the day around anymore to where we can do that. That's what these types of games remind me of. I might as well mention the other one that's very similar, which is Dark Sun Wake of the Ravager. And it is an old, dusty old game. It's a Dungeons and Dragons PC title. It's so old. If you were to look up this game, opening when it came out, right? My dad had saw how much I liked the first Dark Sun game. Played it quite a bit on my 386 desktop computer, just enjoying it. And then Wake of the Ravager came out, and my dad's like, "Yeah, here you go, the next one." Put it in, wouldn't load. Didn't have the right configuration, didn't have the right hardware for it. And back then you had to do like this weird thing with like virtual memory. It was like a digital way of fooling the software into thinking that you had the right hardware to get it to run. And the only thing I'd ever do with the game was to get the opening sequence to play before the game would be like, oh, sorry, it's not working. But the opening for it had animation and it had voice. And back in the day, that was enough to go ahead and hook me and make me want to play the game.
Command me, Master. The city of Tyr lost its king and now stands vulnerable. I will take it for my own. Go, prepare for my coming. Your might is unequaled, Master. Yours will be a glorious victory. Silence! Do not tell me what is mine, slave. Forces are awakening that you cannot comprehend. You are but a pawn. Go!
But since then, I purchased the game on goodoldgames.com or GOG.com, and I got it really cheap. I want to go back and play it just so I can, say that I finally got it to work and got to play through it and get it done. I know it's gonna probably suck because I've been spoiled by, like, this game came out in, I think, 1992 or 1993, something like that. Let me see if I can look it up real quick here. Okay, so the first one I played was Dark Sun Shattered Lands, right? And that one came out in 92. So the sequel to that, Wake of the Ravager, that one came out in 93, the following year. The opening is so short. It's not pretty, but it's, man, did that hook me. It made me want to play. I got to go back and beat that game. It's the nostalgia. I got to get through it. But there's just a few other games here that I wanted to go ahead and mention. Metal Gear, the original version. I believe I bought it on Good Old Games also. I believe it's the NES port, so I would like to get through it. I can't remember if it's the NES or if it's MSX, but in any case, Metal Gear was the first game, other than the ones that came with the NES, that my father purchased for me. I don't know if this is a surprise to anybody, but I grew up military. Metal Gear, the cover art and everything, military. My dad was like, yes, boy, here, play this. And when I played it, I think I want to say 9 or 10, something like that. I had no clue what was going on in the game. The English was mistranslated. So I was like, what is he saying? I don't understand what I'm supposed to do. And I kept getting attacked by dogs, and I was like, I don't have any means to fight them. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. It was very obtuse for me at that time. So it's another game that I want to go back and play through and understand as an adult and enjoy. It's also set in the Cold War, so hey, that's me. And we have Papers, Please. I did play a few games of Papers, Please. It's like a palate cleanser type of game. I'll pick it up, play it for a while. I don't know if there's a way to beat the game, so I've never played it for a long stretch to see if there's anything like that. It's just a game that seemed really interesting. It's that play pattern that kind of hooks you in, and it's a very kind of depressing game in a way. It's a really good game. If you haven't played it, I would recommend checking it out for yourself. I don't believe it's all that expensive to pick up, but I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to wait a ways for it to not resemble what's going on in the world right now. We have Unepic. It always seemed like an odd game. I picked it up. Didn't play it yet though. It just seems like a game that was probably designed with a person like me in mind. So that's why I picked it up. And I'm hoping that I'll enjoy it. So the next game. So Henry Cavill had made mentions of some books that he was into, right? He was doing an interview. He was talking about, it had to do with him working on The Witcher. So they were asking, what books do you enjoy other than The Witcher? And he mentioned Raymond E. Feist. And I'm like, who's that? And everybody else that's a lot more well-read than I am and fantasy is laughing at me right now because I didn't know who he was. However, I mentioned this in my Jack Reacher review video. I don't know if you caught it, but I mentioned that I enjoy using Audible to go through, audiobooks. I picked up the Magician's Apprentice, made it through the first 4 books. They had mentioned, and I'm not going to spoil anything in the book, so if anybody is like, ooh, who's Raymond E. Feist? Go read his books. They're actually really good. And you'll find that a lot of the things that he wrote, I don't know if he sourced someone else and then someone else sourced them, as it goes on. But a lot of things that he's done, it's been done by George R. Martin, has been done by Robert Jordan, has been done by Brandon Sanderson, and it's just like this thing that keeps trope after trope. That's in high fantasy type of writing. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Everybody does a little bit of a different twist to make it interesting. So the names that I mentioned, they did something different with it to make it a little bit more fresh for them. But as soon as you see it, you'll go, oh, I know where that came from. Having going back, because I thought Robert Jordan had created a whole bunch of different things that was ripped off by somebody else, George R. Martin. I didn't realize Feist did it first, at least as far back as I've gone. So I didn't recognize anything that Tolkien had done that was in Feist's writing. It's a bit different. In any case, I'm going out in the weeds here, and I don't want to go there. But they had mentioned Krondor, and I was like, Krondor. As I'm going through the book, like, that is so familiar. Why do I know that? I know that because there's 2 games in my backlog about Krondor. One is Betrayal at Krondor. It's on my backlog. And there's Return to Krondor. Both are set in Mechemia, which is the world that Raymond E. Feist created. Now I have context to the game of the world, because now going through all the books, or, well, 4 of the books, there's a lot more. It makes me want to go back and play those 2 games. All that information fleshed out. Funny thing is, like, the Betrayal at Krondor and Return to Krondor, those games were created while the books were still being written in this world. So it's one of those things I want to go back and look and see if it fits or it doesn't fit. Just having a better knowledge of the world and what's going on, and who some of the people are in the game now. Possibly. It could be that it's just set in the world and there's a whole bunch of characters that I don't know. But I would like to go ahead and play them and see. Now, these games are really old, so it may be one of those things that it's kind of a slog to try and get through. It's not like, say, trying to go back and play like Zork. If anybody's played Zork, you know what I'm getting at. But those are 2 other games that are on my list here that I need to go back to. And now there's one game that left here that I haven't gone back to. Played part 2, played part 3, but I didn't play the first one, really. And that's The Witcher. I feel like I'm doing a disservice to myself if I don't go back and play the original. And a part of me was, in a way, hoping that CD Projekt Red would have done an update or ported it over to console to be able to be played with the controller, because The Witcher, the original one, plays very different, in my opinion, to the second one. And then the third one and the first one are like, they barely resemble each other as far as gameplay goes and mechanics. Going back to the first one always feels like it's going to be a little hard to enjoy, but I really like The Witcher. I've gone through all the books on Audible, played through 2, played through 3, which kind of, in a way, spoils a lot of what happened in 1. But I really want to go back and play that and enjoy it, or see if I can enjoy it. But my wife has played through a good majority of The Witcher, and she said it's really good. You know, it's there, and it's another game that's going to eat up a lot of time, so I got to figure out where I'm going to put this game in and be able to play through it. Because a lot of the games, as if you think about the games I've mentioned here, a lot of them are long RPGs. And I don't know how many of you have played long RPG, finished it, and was like, let me go ahead and grab another one, because I can't wait to do more grinding in another RPG and start over at level 1, do that all over again for a number of hours. But it's my favorite genre, so I can't really complain too much about it. But I do play a variety of games, as you can also see on the listing. I got sports games, I got shooters, action, adventure, puzzle games. There's so many different games out there that I enjoy. So it's a weird thing to complain about having a backlog. I mean, it's really a first world problem. I mean, who complains about having so much, It's just one of those things of, maybe it's more of a complaint of not having enough time to be able to enjoy all these works that people have created and worked hard for in creating for us. And with that being said, I'm going to end this video here with, please tell me what's in your backlog of games that you want to get through. That way, if I manage to get through these, I can take a look and see what else is out there, what other people are enjoying, and not necessarily put on my backlog myself, but try out. I've may have mentioned some games that you haven't thought of playing, but maybe you'll take a second look at and see if you want to go ahead and play. But that's really what this channel is about, is to talk about different video games, different hobbies that we're into, and have a conversation about it. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Please comment. Give me any feedback that you have about the video. I welcome it so I can make improvements to these videos for you. Please share it if you did enjoy it with somebody. Maybe they have a backlog they want to go ahead and take a look at and compare it to what I'm doing. What games are you looking forward to that's knocking these games into your backlog? Let's have a conversation about that. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be apprised of when the next video goes up. All right.